Hey everybody, it's Nicky J here again. So there is a verse or verses of concern with regards to government that I would really like to give us a detailed explanation of, right? Do a little bit of exegesis so that we understand what it's saying. In the past few days, a lot has been happening in Nigeria. Revelation are being made following the pronunciation of Donald Trump, declaring Nigeria as a country of particular concern, then furthering going to tell us that there is actually consideration for military action against terrorists in the country. So a lot has been said on all of that. Now, I just want to bring out something in the Bible to explain, to give a detailed explanation of what Paul was trying to tell the Romans here, because many times people read this verse and they misinterpret it. So my job is to do that clarity because I'm a Bible teacher. Romans 13, starting from verse 1. Now, Paul was here saying that, let every soul be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and the authorities that exist are appointed by God. This is why, prior to every election and afterwards, people will tell you that it is God who had made a particular person become the ruler of a country, become the president of a country. We heard it in the last general elections in Nigeria, right? Yes, so people try to use this verse to tell us that, look, it is God who makes it possible for a particular person to become the governor or the president of a country, right? So I want us to go further to get an in-depth understanding of what Paul is trying to say here. The verse 2 says, therefore, whoever resists the authority resists the ordinance of God, and those who resist the will bring judgment to themselves. Verse 3, for rulers are not terror to good works, but to evil. Do you want to be unafraid of the authority? Do what is good, and you will have praises from the same. Verse 4, hear this. For he is God's minister to you for good. But if you do evil, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain, for he is God's minister, an avenger to execute wrath on him who practices evil. So Paul here is trying to say that the reason why there are governing authorities, the reason why there is the government, is because the government is to unleash judgment and terror and bring justice, right, to people who do evil. Let me give you an example. If a person steals today, if a person commits murder today, fire will not come down from heaven to kill that person. It is the police, which is an arm of the government, that will come and arrest that person. So you see that thou shalt not, that God had told men not to do, it is actually the government that enforces God's own will on the earth with regards to how men relate with themselves. The reason why a pedophile would keep his cool is not necessarily because he fears God. It's because he knows that if he has carnal knowledge with an underage, the government will come for him. The reason why certain people are not committing certain kind of crimes today is not because they fear God, it's because they fear the government. So Paul is saying here now that the reason why the government is in existence is that they pursue the evildoer. So he said, yeah, if you don't want to be scared of the government, do what is right. Now, do not misinterpret this for saying it is God that particularly appoints a government into a place. He's just trying to make us understand that they are playing the role of enacting justice, which is actually the will of God on the earth. So God did not say so and so person become the president, so and so person become the governor. No, in fact, the people who are our current governor and president are not the ones who constituted our constitution. Currently, Nigeria runs on the 1999 constitution. The persons who are president and governors today, they were not the ones who sat and actually drafted this. So their job is just to enact it. So you cannot tell me that it was God or it is God who said so and so person should become the president of Nigeria. No, that is not what Paul is trying to say here. God does not handpick leaders and give it to countries. No, people choose who their leaders become, or the leaders themselves, through any means whatsoever, make themselves become leader. Right? So your job as a citizen is to make sure that you are involved in putting the right person there, because there is a problem when the wrong person gets on that place, because even the very essence of government can be abused if the wrong people get on that seat, get on the corridors of power. The mighty man, the wise guy, King Solomon, actually told us in Proverbs 29, verse 2. He said, when the righteous are in authority, or when the righteous rule, what happens? The people rejoice. There is gladness in the land. The people live peacefully. But if the wicked man is in power, what happens? The people will groan. What's that? People will lament. This is exactly what we see in different countries today, especially in African continent, right? So you see that Paul is not in any way, or was not in any way, saying that God handpicked leaders. He was just trying to tell you the functions of the government or governing authority in every space. The reason why they are there is because they play the role of enacting justice, which is the will of God on the earth. That's exactly their role. But in Proverbs, we see that there is actually a room for either the righteous to be in power or the wicked to be in power. So it is your responsibility as a citizen to be part of the process that brings either of these two set of people, because whichever one takes that seat will actually determine if you are going to groan or you are going to rejoice in the land that you currently occupy. So God does not handpick leaders, at least not anymore, not now that we have democracy. What leaders are supposed to do is that they actually enact justice and the will of God on the earth. And we see that when you put in wicked people, the reverse would be the case. So that's exactly what Romans 13, 1, 2, 3, and 4 is trying to tell us. It is not telling us that God handpicked leaders. It's really trying to tell us what the role of government is on the earth with regards to the will of God in the life of men. Thank you, and see you, and God bless.